Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to 50 on Fridays. I'm like super amped today. I'm feeling like massively good expansion energy. Who's with me on that? We can just do that for a minute. I said that in my Kundalini class the other day, and most people were reporting expansion. And we know when we expand, there's a contraction, like there's the inhale, and then there's the exhale. And it's just the way that breath works. It's the way that life works. But in this Leo moment, we have a lot of expansion. It's such an incredible day today because in just literally an hour and 20 minutes, the eclipse is happening. We won't see it here in North America, but it is happening, and we'll get the energy vibration of it. And if you haven't read about it, the energy vibration of an eclipse is a freaking reboot. So it's exciting. It's like, we get an update on our computer, and we have to turn the computer off in order for the software to reconfigure or install, and then we turn it on, and we've got new things available, new functionality. They took care of the bugs. They debugged it. So we get to use that as a context for what might be happening in our lives. And I feel like whatever I put my focus on is what I end up seeing, or what ends up happening. I just notice it. So it's just an invitation to us to put our attention on the fact that there's a reboot going on. And then today also, I know it's a bunch of people's birthdays. Happy birthday to Rich and Jamie and Beth. Those are people I know about. And then there's also a Hindu celebration today called Guru Purnima. And I love that because today we get to honor the gurus. Now the word guru is darkness to light. Those people in our paths who have taken us from darkness into light. And there are many, I know many in my life who have helped me along the way, and I'm just so deeply grateful. I wanted to share one of them because not always do they have two legs. Like a lot of you know, this is my main guru, Penny Lane. She is in four legs, but was in four legs, and took me from a lot of darkness into light. So today we just particularly honor all the people who are here in form or not here in form, or all the beings who are here in form or not here in form, to just say thank you for every way in which they have enriched our lives. And even the people that have driven us crazy have often served as our teachers. So we get to pause for a moment and say thank you, and light a candle on your altar to them. And knowing that the same qualities that are in them that you see, either loving or hating, are also in us. And taking in those qualities, or releasing the things that need to let go, and taking in the qualities that we love. So today is just an incredibly auspicious day for my 50 on Friday. And I'm really excited to be here. And if you're watching this at any time, please put a comment below or an emoji. Just share how you're feeling right now. What is the day like for you today? I want to offer a couple things today, a couple practices, one for your left brain and one for your right brain. Earlier this week I posted about your desires being good. And what are the things that are in the way of your desires? And that's something that I think is an interesting thing to take a look at this time right now. What's in the way of your desires? Because your desires are ultimately good. And this Leo moon this Leo sun that we're in with this Aquarius moon, this auspicious time, I loved the post that I made the other day from the Power Path report, talking about how the heart of this Leo sun can see forward to a future, an Aquarian future, where what? Fill in the blank. What is your vision? For me, it's the equality of all beings. That we understand and know that we are in a circle of life, dependent on all beings, and that all beings have a right to be happy and free. So that's my Aquarian vision. What is yours? Today is the day to envision that. So to that end, when I asked you about your desires, I feel like your desires are good things, are things to nurture, and ask yourself, what is in the way of those desires? I know that there's a lot of really intense energy, and I can say that turning 50, I have really loved. I've had a new perspective on intense energy. Hey, Alan, good to have you from Denver. The energy of intensity around, like, say, the Saturn energy, the great teacher, the Lord of Karma. My teacher said today, one of my Kundalini teachers was saying, I was listening to a video of his, and he was talking about how we fall in love with the chiseling. And I was imagining, imagine David and that statue of the ultimate male, David from Michelangelo, and he's like in this rock, and this rock has to be chipped away at for this beautiful sculpture to emerge. Maybe there's something about, we always look at the chiseling as harsh. No, don't chisel, that hurts. But what if there's another perspective, from David's perspective, of no, yes, chisel me out of here. And my teacher was saying that you end up loving the chiseling. You end up falling in love with the work, and it doesn't become work anymore. And I feel like that is so true. As I turned 50 and as I crossed that threshold, I feel like I'm falling more and more in love with the work. So when it gets hard, it's not I'm not taking it as against me. I'm instead welcoming it to refine me and to make me into the person that I know that I am. And that's where my desires then get to be met in that place. So oftentimes what stands in the way of desire is our shame. I was talking to a client earlier in the week, and she is self-aware enough to go into some of the shame that she was running about something. So I gave her this exercise that I want to give all of us to do on this full moon lunar eclipse. And that is to list out your shame. List out the fears. Put it down, come up with 50 of them. This is a left brain activity for you. Come up with 50 of them and write them down. And then I'm going to post below cognitive distortions. There's 10 cognitive distortions, and they're overgeneralizing, blaming, judging, focusing on the negative, and at the expense of everything else. So I'll post that in the comments below. But take your list of shame and then apply the cognitive distortions. What cognitive distortion is that? Chances are it's one of them. And then look at what you said from a rational point of view. As if it weren't even you, just look at it as if your friend told you that. So you might say it's kind of the classic example, and I just saw this happen today. Somebody posted something amazing that he had created, and one person said something negative about it. He didn't comment. He's a pretty well-known person. He didn't comment on anybody else's stuff but the one person who said something negative. And we tend to do that. Hey, Robin. We tend to focus on the one thing that somebody said that's negative about us. So what if in that instance of what I'm saying about listing out your shame, one of your shame is like, I'm not that good. I'm not good enough. And maybe it's about something very specific. And then we might see that that's a generalization. That would be the cognitive distortion of overgeneralizing. Like, really? You're not good at everything? And then we can write the truth. Well, the truth was that when I did that one thing, it wasn't good. Or the truth is that it actually was good and one person didn't like it. So I invite you, as an exercise of this full moon, to write down your shame points or your fear points or your doubt points, and then notice the cognitive distortion, and then write the truth about it. You'll find a liberation in that. And you might even find, and this is where you can take it transpersonal, this is the part that I super love about this process. I had another coaching client call me the other day and say that she was feeling really sad. And as she started to describe it, and I won't divulge what it is, I realized she wasn't actually sad. She was fucking blown open. She was like feeling the universe. She was like, it's like that point, like heartbroken, but in a good way. And she even said, yeah, I'm like heartbroken in a good way. I'm sad in a good way. And that's where this list of shame can get actually transmuted. That's what we get to do with our shadow, which is where the chiseling becomes like awesome, is we transmute the energy and we make it transpersonal. So one of the things that we get to say, like I could say, you know, it's horrible that my dog died. Because, I mean, for 6 years, right, she's been on my altar, and she's my touchstone for my heart. And I could say it's horrible that she died. And that would be an overgeneralization, probably other cognitive distortions, because it's not horrible, it's just sad. And then, but when I look into it deeper, I'm like, it's not even just sad, it's fucking beautiful. The whole thing was amazing. And if I'm really telling the truth, I'm saying, God, she's actually still with me. I can feel her here. That's when we take that shame piece that starts over here as one thing, and we can transmute it to really see that it's something so beautiful and amazing and spiritual, and leads us back to our true self. So that's one practice that I use, and I encourage other people to use in this, especially in this time when a lot of things can come up. And then the second thing I wanted to teach, and this is for those of you who don't get to go to my Kundalini classes, I want to teach this. This is a Kundalini practice called a meditation for spiritual stamina. I think it's totally rad, and it's easy, and so I'm going to teach it to you. You take your hands and you interlace them, and you bring them over your head like this. It's about like 6 inches over your head, and your elbows can be bent. And then you close your eyes, but then you can open them slightly. So it's like 1/10 open. And then the breath is just a simple, long, deep breathing. And then you hold at the top of the breath and at the bottom of the breath. So you inhale deeply, and then you hold the breath, and then you exhale all the air out. This is all through your nose. And then you hold the air out, and then you inhale. And your breath will get deeper and deeper as you go. But that's essentially how you do long, deep breathing. And then you do it with just your fingers interlaced, and the palms are facing your head, and it's just about 6 inches over your head. And try that for like 3 minutes. This is a meditation that our lineage holder, Yogi Bhajan, brought, and I'm going to read a little bit of what he said. It's super awesome. he said this is the meditation for spiritual stamina. And for those of you who don't know Kundalini Yoga, the reason why I love it so much is because it was a variety of different yogas that were put together in order to prepare modern people like us for the Aquarian age, the age we're living in right now. We basically crossed over from what they call the Piscean era to the Aquarian era in like 2012. And Yogi Bhajan came to America and Canada and the US with these technologies, knowing that it was kind of going to be a shit show here. And he's like, you know, people will look perfect on the outside, but would be a total mess on the inside. And that pretty much says it all right now. Like Instagram, Facebook, we all look fantastic and we got stuff going on. And he also said that we would have major information overload, Google, and that we would have to engage our sensory body to know things. So many of the kriyas and meditations are for your intuition, for you to get out of the mind and contact your essential self. So the practice I just gave you was a practice for your mind. I kind of call it a left brain practice. But this practice for spiritual stamina is more like using the body to work on the mind, to get yourself into a meditative mind space. So he says that our life needs us to come into spiritual endurance. And the effect of it is that we can calmly and quietly walk through our life, no matter what the pressure is. He acknowledges that we all go through pressure. There's pressure everywhere. And that is why we build spiritual endurance, and we do it through meditation and through mantra. But he said, this is the quote that I really like, sometimes each person's load can only be taken collectively. I love that. Collectively, we can pull the weight. You know, because you hear about so much tragic stuff. And individually, that may be way too hard to bear. But collectively, if we have been doing our work, and that's why I think we can be spiritual warriors, then we can hold it for other people who can't hold it. So collectively, we can pull the weight. We have a collective strength in us, hand in hand, in friendship, in love, in the affection. He says, do not keep things to yourself and say, I cannot. There's nothing you can't do. And I love that. There's nothing you can't do, and I would add the caveat of that context, if you're with community, in tribe, with people. Because the energies of other people will support you through, just even the mirroring. So that's like so much of what I do is about being in community and tribe. Because I don't see how we can do it by ourselves. So we're moving from the I consciousness to the we consciousness, and it's going to take a while, and it's going to take all of us showing up to do our practices. So if that resonated with you at all, try that on. We always say like 3 minutes a day, and try that on for the next, like, if you can, 40 days. If you can't, just start with the chunk that you think you can commit to, because a small amount over a consistent time is like way better than like an hour meditating once a year. Like we used to do as kids, just go to church on Easter. It's like, no. A little bit every day is better than like a lot at once. So I leave you with the blessings of the gurus in your life, whether they're 4 legs or 2 legs or wings or whatever they are. You have the blessings of your teachers, and you are also teachers to others. So the blessings are for you and from you. And may all beings benefit from the merits of our efforts. That's what we're going for. All right, lots of love and thanks for tuning in. Put a little emoji down there if you're tuning in. Okay, bye.